Good evening all. Thanks to Mike for looking after the frequency for us. The order will be Mike to start as you're ready and you're getting lots of questions. So G0MJW followed by Jen G4HIZ, followed by Jim G0DQH and Martin G8KOE as number 4. So that's what we'll do. And John JTT as number 5. We'll just give it a few more minutes, although doesn't seem to be much. Clap for carers. Broken audio. Oh, right, hang on. 1, 2, 3. Clap for carers. 1, 2. Doesn't sound too good. Sorry about that. Okay. Oh, Noel's getting good audio. That's good to see. And Noel, you're in the list after John at the end there. So actually you're on the end of the list then. Let's go straight round to Mike then, as we seem to have quite a few people here. G0MJW and the Net, and acknowledged Rob, M0DTS, and Sean. I'll put you on the end of the list. G8GKQ.
Okay. Mute that. Let things catch up. Hopefully my audio is okay. Please complain on the chat if it's not. Good evening everyone. Hope everyone's still okay and not suffering any virus problems still. The reason I asked about the audio is actually in relation to what I'm about to show you. If I go to the other camera, which shows that I'm running a lot of power, I'll then go to the where's the 30 Hertz now? Well, I turned it down because people complained. This is what I'm receiving on, and GKQ's audio was broken. GKQ's audio was broken. But as you can hear, mine's fine. So. Not sure what was going on there, but brilliant bit of work from Dave to get this working. I don't know if it's ever going to think about focusing. There we go. It's of course it's the new whatever we're calling it, Langstone, built into a box now, and it's plugged into a mini tuner, and seems to be receiving just fine, which is great. And it also does H.265, which is even better. Okay, apart from that, the only other thing really to show is this, which arrived this week at long last, the Nano VNA version 2, which seems to work up to 4 GHz, which is quite nice. Anyway, a lot of people on, so I think it's probably a good idea to pass back over and whoever's on next, G0MJW.
Good evening everybody. I've just turned down my audio in the headphones just to make sure I don't get feedback. Okay, hope everybody's keeping well. Might be a bit echoey here. I'm sitting next to a 70 centimeter dish, which I'm getting ready for 5.7 gigahertz. So I've strapped the 10 watt PA to it on a nice heatsink. I did a test this afternoon, key down for 10 minutes and the thing hardly got warm, so that was quite useful. And got to do a bit more mechanical work really to just stabilise the feed a bit, but it's coming along very quickly. Also received my Pi Cam, the HD version today, so I've got a couple of lenses to try it out, but I haven't got it connected tonight, but maybe next week and see how it goes. Anyway, so that's about it for now. I've been doing lots of 5.6 GHz amplifier tests and checking what the power output is and stuff like that. Okay, so I'll pass it back to
Sorry about that, I was dawdling. So good evening to everyone from DQH. I've managed to track down the problem that I've been getting recently with the TX, and it was the bias supply, which is a small buck converter, and I've now replaced it, if I could get it in the screen, now replaced it with a DC to DC converter, which is 12 volts output, so that's absolutely fine now. For those who don't know, I operate the bias remotely from the shack down into the garage with a little fob, which I switch the bias on and off with that, and it works very well at long last, that is. It did work at first, and the problem was these cheapy Chinese electrolytics, and it's not a problem now. I've got rather a long run of cable down to the dish, probably about 25 meters, and the shack is the study or third bedroom, if you like, in the house. So it's rather a long run of cable. I've got several driver amps here, plus another one in the garage. So when the weather permits, I should be changing over to the new PA in probably a week's time. So it's all ready to go, and things will be a lot simpler to use, I hope, anyway. So, sorry about the delay. It was my fault entirely, and I'll pass it back. From G0DQH in Chandler's Ford, 5 miles north of the city of Southampton.
Right, good evening. I think we're there. Looks like we are. I'd like to see my picture come back there. Right, let's turn myself down in the headphones now. I can hear myself going. Yeah, fine on the buck converter there, Jim. Yeah, I've been playing with the dreaded old buck converters. Stick a filter on the end, because a bit nasty what tends to come out of those if you stick it on a scope and look at the output. Lots of little spikes, but the little filter just cleans it up a treat. Well worth doing. The other thing I've been playing with, so I do a lot with HubNet and All-Star, is modifying the sound fobs. That's one unmodified, but they lend themselves to CM108. Absolutely superb. You can do what you like with them if you want to take the sockets off, want to remove the bias, etc. Want to get to the controlling pins, a couple of it used on the CM108, but can thoroughly recommend those boards. But well, what else have I been playing with? My PA, which my second one arrived. One of those from Poland. Exactly the same as what I'm using down at the bottom at the moment. Had the bias cause a problem on the one that I'm running on at the moment. There's two little 22 ohms that got a habit of going open circuit. Very little tiny things, I can hardly see them, but replaced those and back in business. Apart from that, not really been doing a great deal. Shan't be able to do much on the contest. Don't have any equipment capable of doing anything at the moment. Gave away all my aerials, etc. when I moved down to Somerset. But right, that's probably enough waffle from me. So I saw John on earlier, and his sound and pictures looked great. So let's pass it on round to John there. G7 JTT to take it. G8 KOE.
Right. You say the pictures look good. It looked blooming awful to me. Anyway, I'm kind of back up and running. The saga of no internet has been a real bind, to say the least. Today we got switched back on, but the speed we have now is reminiscence of the old days of dial-up. So I had a very colourful conversation with a open breach representative who swore blind there was nothing wrong, and then when I gave him a load of facts he had to admit there was. Anyway, the long and the short of it is that it's not going to be fixed until the end of the month. They've got to dig up all the road and replace the fibre. Apparently it's gone kaput, which I don't think it did. But anyway, the LUMS cabinet, I still think is where the fault is, and so do all the engineers. But they want to replace the cable before they replace the LUMS unit. So anyway, that aside. So I'm still using this, which is a wonderful little device. Free. They keep bunging 20 gig on there, so I keep using it. I'm getting 74 or 75 megabits, whatever it was on there earlier. So it's a damn sight faster than what I'm getting on the broadband itself. But it sucks the data up out of that in no time. But hey, I'm not paying for it. They keep chucking it on there. So that aside, I did show this the other day. It's kind of progressing. So if I take all these loose bits out so I don't drop them everywhere, I've been making up little bits like that. It just, I'm sure we've all done it, all print off the actual size and trying to place things in there to try and work out where it's going to go. But anyway, so far, where are we? Wait for a catch up so I can see myself. Nice aluminium base to it. Underneath there is some salvaged 18650s that I got out of a laptop. Someone where I work dumped a laptop in the car park, smashed to pieces, but the battery was brand new. So I grabbed the battery, took the batteries out, and I've got one of these BMS things on there as well, so that's going to go on. So this thing will be truly portable. It is going to be somewhat of a squeeze, and what I'm probably going to have to do is chop the board, but I'm just trying to debate where to chop it. The tuner will have to be remotely fixed and then cables going to it, which isn't ideal, but it's gonna fit in there somehow. Anyway, that's what we've been doing. I fogged it enough. I don't think there's anything else to really show. Not that I can think of. Oh, one other, yeah, there is actually. I just purchased a lovely, look, I got umpteen keyboards in front of me here, which you can't see, but for portable use, I was using one of these little Bluetooth things. But the problem with that is the minute you start transmitting, you get all kinds of errors. So I want to stay away from Bluetooth and all that side of stuff. So I've just gone and bought a little brand new Samsung Q1 keyboard. They're about 100 quid to buy, but anyway, some geezer was flogging it on there, and I managed to get it for 18 quid. So hopefully that'll be here in a couple of days with one of those. Do you remember the IBM ThinkPads, the little nipple mouse things on there? I don't particularly like them, but anyway, hey, it was 18 quid, so that's that. And I think that's probably about it. So with that, I shall put it back round to Noel. Is next, isn't it? G8GTZ, G7JTT in.
Not too much report here. Majority of those be in the contest, checking everything out. And, we remain better. Do it's silly, really. We had last week in Portable with nearly 4 LBR, and we checked the 76 gigs still working. So it was quick and nice to help change exchange. There's no rates. It was about 12 kilometres, but 76 gigs still work. Checking out all the other ends from sort of 6 up to 76 gigs, excluding 47 gigs. So work doing. The other thing is, don't forget, tomorrow is the closing day for the Ofcom survey response. If you really don't want to buy expensive equipment and do an EMF calculation every time you go on air with a different feed, you really need to go to the Ofcom website and fill that form. Otherwise, there is a possibility that your own radio license will change, and you will be liable for all sorts of things, or proving that you're not doing all sorts of things. So, if you want things to do tomorrow or today, it's after the next feature, just get your Ofcom website. What else? Not that much, is majority is benches actually empty of my coffee cup. Because all the kit is in the conservatory where I'm going to do a test build tomorrow. So I'll put it all up into make sure that all of the bits and pieces, and then perhaps take it out forward on Saturday. So there we have it. I'm not sure what John was doing. I must have missed something. But clearly he needs a UK version. And Mike was had no idea. I'm not quite sure what they were about. Anyway, maybe some more pictures next time. But round to Rob, G8GTZ.
Wow, it works. How about that? I actually have audio. Right, good evening everybody. I'll show you the scene here, and this is pretty much what it's been all day. It was a little bit bright at one point, but rain all day, heavy cloud, and yeah, where's summer gone? Yeah, I was out Portable this morning doing some tests locally, just the same as Noel's been doing. Doing things, doing some tests, just checking all the gear is working. Most stuff seemed to be working, so there's a little bit of hope for the weekend. But
I think the southern guys are going to take the lead this year, I would imagine. Sounds like there's a lot going on down there. Generally quite quiet up here. What are we doing? Right, so yeah, that was a shot from this morning there on just taking off above the van there. That was parked on a hilltop, just about 10 miles from here. It's one of the locations I use if we're doing any kind of local tests and things. So yeah, you can see it was pretty abysmal. That should show like the half of Teesside in the distance, but you can't see a thing. So yeah, it was a bit wet, but anyway, we managed to get the test done. So, yeah, not actually done a great deal. I've been off since when? Last Friday? Yeah, I've got a few extra days. Well, my set of 4 working days I'm off this week. But as usual, you try and plan to do a load of stuff and nothing goes to plan. PCB filter things that I was working on, haven't done a great deal of that. I've simulated 2 of the filters in joined together. I'm kind of starting to look at the diplex arrangement, using multiple ones together, and sort of works. I'm getting about 2 dB loss. We're using 2 filters, so it wasn't too bad at all actually. But I need to do a lot more work with that, and add the other filters in and things. So it's still ongoing. Not a massive amount of progress there. And I've been doing a bit of work on the lathe in the shed. Required a new 4-jaw chuck to go on there, so that's need a bit of a refurb. So if I can find the pictures, I'll put the pictures on next time, and you can see what I've been doing with that. And anything else? Yeah, you know when you get a project, and then you order some boards to kind of go with the project and things like that, and then another project appears that looks even more snazzy. Anyway, something for everyone to have a bit play around with. So I don't think I'll be going down that route, but it looks rather snazzy compared to the current project, which is just about getting delivered. I should have 122 gigs boards in the next week or so. So all things will then shift on to playing with 122 gigs, I imagine. So there we are. Right. Who is it round to now, or am I the last on the list? Where are we at? Sean. Okay. Yeah, round to Sean, G8 VPG from M0DTS in the group.
Right. Loud click as the PTT switch goes on. Very good evening to everybody, and I hope that you're all keeping well. It's been had quite a lot of rain here today actually. There's quite a lot of thick cloud at the moment, so I think signals are a little bit down with me, but no difficulty copying everyone, and everyone's sound was very good this evening. This week I've been working on this, which is the AMSAT filtered driver amplifier, which delivers about 200 milliwatts, and it's designed to go with their 5-watt driver board. So I spent a day soldering the board up, and then a couple of days milling out this case from a bar of aluminium, but unfortunately it doesn't work, and I think that one of the mimics in there is acting up, which is a Galley 5, and I was a bit concerned about the bandpass filter in it, because it's a tiny little component, about 3 millimeters square, with pads underneath it, and I soldered it with solder paste, which I'd not used before. But that's fine, because when I sweep it with the power off, I get a nice shape of bandpass filter, so no trouble there. But I think the first mimic has failed for some reason. So tomorrow I want to get on and see if I can find a British supplier to get some spare parts, and hopefully we'll have it up and running then. But I think once it is working, it'll be quite a useful little piece of kit there. Other than that, I've been busy getting equipment ready, like some other people, for the contest at the weekend. I'm planning to run 4 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. I've tested all the linear amplifiers on the bench. They're all working, and all the up converter working. So hopefully everything will go well. Not quite certain which day at the moment. The weather keeps changing, and when I looked an hour ago, Saturday seemed to be the best. There's a possibility I could do both days. I don't know. But hopefully we'll be out one of those days there, and hopefully look forward to working some of you there as well. So that's it. I think that's everything from this end for this week. Nothing more to add. So just the one over, and hope you all have a good week, and hope to work some of you over the weekend on the contest there. So I was going to add as well that I'm not taking the microwave bands with me, because my usual location is in Wales. I like to go to the Blorenge Mountain, but the travel restrictions are still in force in Wales. So I'm going to my local hilltop, which is Lansdowne by Bath Racecourse. It's a reasonable height, 228 metres, but you're in the middle of a plateau and there's still lots of trees and bushes around, so there's no really good clear takeoff from microwaves. So I think it'll be a waste of time taking microwaves up there. So I'm going to concentrate on VHF and UHF this time. Okay, that's it. 7 for us all, and look forward to speaking to you next week. If I don't speak to you at the weekend, this is G8 of VPG in Bristol.
Always nice to hear the end of Sean's over as I start transmitting there. Right. Thanks for all the contributions there. Comments I've got, yep, contest I'll be out Saturday and Sunday. There will be quite a few of us on from different sites, Sean, so if you can get out both days, you'll get points from us. You'll be able to count points from us on different sites both days, so that would be really good if you could. The EMF response, really important. Go to the Ofcom site and send them something about the fact that the EMF response, the current situation is good enough, just needs updating, no calculations, and the RSGB sample response I found very helpful. It is CQTV deadline time. Monday next week is probably about the last day for contributions, so please, even if it's just a couple of lines about your participation in the contest, send something to editor at BATC.tv. Let's have some more content for CQTV, please. Jen, I wonder if you've made any progress with your tablet on the locking up on the Spectrum viewer. Hasn't changed recently, but Windows might have updated your tablet, or Chrome even, possibly. And that PiCam is quite nice, but doesn't work so well with the HDMI extender leads, I've found. I need to do some more work on mine. I've had quite a few of those little eBay buck converters blow up on me, Jim, which is quite worrying for this weekend, because my 70 SEM rig has 10 of them in a current sharing arrangement to get 10 amps at 28 volts off of a car battery. It normally works, but every now and then one of them goes pop. Good evening to all the watchers. I see John and Adrian are watching us. I'm sure there are others out there. I would remind you that when you cut your transmission, if you cut it before you've waited for what you've said to go through the system, we lose the end of your transmission. So keep an eye on your local copy, and I tend to turn towards the switch when I've finished, and when I see my face turn towards the switch on my local copy, I turn off the transmitter. So what have I been doing here? Let's turn the camera around, hang on. First thing is prep for the contest. You can see the 24 gigs gear there, the 77 gear. The palette on the right has all the 2.4 and 3.4 gigs gear. The rack in front here has the low bands in it, and the LimeNet Micro I'm going to use as the driver for all the low bands. Round this side, just programming in the contest numbers onto that ports down there, which is going to be on the high band side. Next to it is the Langston. Let's just put this down. Go up. I've done a bit of preparatory work thanks to what John has done. And if I now go to menu 2 on this port stand, which is running Buster 2020, where the Freak Show button used to be is now the PAN adapter. I need to do some more work on that. It's still got the old mouse problems, but at least it's usable, and that will be in a release after the contest. Can't really get it reliable enough before the contest because I need to make sure it works on the 7-inch screen, the 3.5-inch screen, and so on. The other little bit of work I've done is down here. This is my Langston. You can't really see it there, but there's a hole there with a flying USB 3 lead behind it that goes into the Raspberry Pi. So that's a USB 3 on the Raspberry Pi, and what's plugged into it at the moment is the mini tuner, and I use that for my for watching the net and for taking the screen snaps. So that's the other bit of work. So final words is please make the effort to get out in the contest. Let's just put that camera back somewhere sensible. Sit over in front of it, put some light on, there we go, with the call sign even. I probably had more than my time there. I think I've covered everything. So it's going to be round to Mike, G0MJW next, if you can hear me. I'm audio, bane of my life. But I hope mine is alright. Nobody said they can't hear me. Round to Mike, G0MJW and the net. G8GKQ with a pause transmission.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Well, I've discovered what the audio problem was, and it's the Langston VLC. When people are using a different codec from the one that was being used by the previous transmission, it seems to get stuck in some way, so it can't quite work. It runs out of buffers. Some people were higher pitched as well. Other people had gaps. So I think that's what it was. So that's what that was causing that. It's fine on the PC. It was just on the Langston, which otherwise is working brilliantly. I think this is what Sean was showing us, which is the AMSAT UK board. I got one from Dave, MRF for testing. I've got to send it back to him at some point when we finally get around this lockdown. But that's the board that was being talked about. It's on the AMSAT UK web page, assuming they haven't all sold out in 24 hours like the last lot did. But that's a useful thing to try and get hold of if you can. If you want a low level to about 200 milliwatts driver, which is enough then to drive bigger amplifiers, or in my case it's enough to operate SSB with on the bigger dish, because I only need 200 milliwatts. But it wasn't quite enough to do DATV, I'm afraid. But there you go. Nothing really much else to show you. So let's go around quickly. Pass it round to Jen. And Jen, hopefully you will remember this time the slight delay on the audio from the end of the transmission. I tend to put up my test card, and then when I see the test card appear, stop talking. But this time I didn't do that because I'm still talking. So I'll give it a couple of seconds and then go off, and we'll see if it's right. G0MJW.
Hello again everybody, G4HIZ returning with the BATC Net. Just turn down my headphones. Yeah, okay, thanks a lot for the comments, and on the Nexus front, Dave, in fact it started working again, and don't know why, but I did blow out a load of stuff in the cache memory, and it also did an update itself. I try not to update it if I can help it, but it managed to do it, and so the thing seems to be working, at least over the last 48 hours. So we'll assume that one's okay for the time being. As you know, the problem was on the wideband monitor, it would simply freeze up and eventually lock up the device. Okay, fine business on the Pi Cam. Just out of interest, if anybody's not seen it, so this is it's got the lens cover on at the moment, but that's the HD Pi Cam, and as it happens, I've got a couple of lenses here. This lens is an interesting one. This came off of a professional TV camera which I picked up at Dunstable Downs a couple of years ago. I've still got the camera. Oof, there we are. So that's where it came from. Someone might say, well, why not stick it on the camera? But to be honest with you, it weighs a ton, and it's not very good these days. So this has replaced this, and a lot better quality at the end of the day. I'll have to do some experiments and check out the cables. At the moment I'm using the traditional Pi Cam, and I have a 3 meter extension lead, the HDMI extension cable, which seems to work fine. Okay, so nothing more to say here really. Let me just check my... Sorry, I like to do a check on the beacon. Yeah, not coming in too badly. So anyway, thanks again for organising the net this evening, Dave, and wish everybody who's watching, transmitters and receivers, so to speak, a very good evening, and look forward to perhaps speaking with you next week. So G4HIZ is passing back to whoever's next.
Okay, just turn the volume down. There we go. Martin, this is what I've replaced the buck converter with. One of these Traco power things. Oh, getting a bit close. 12 volts stabilized out. I'm trying to get it in with the camera. There, there we go. And it works really well. I've got quite a few of these, by the way. They're ex-equipment, but they all work fine. And good evening, by the way, to Barry in Barnstable. I'm going to send one of these down to you, Barry. But you haven't sent me your address, so I can't send it at the moment. And I'm going into Southampton tomorrow to the bank, so I could send this to you tomorrow if you'd let me have your address, please. Okay, that's about it from me, and I'll say good evening and look forward to next week. G0DQH in Chelmsford, 5 miles north of the city of Southampton.
Right, we're back, I think. It's confusing. I've got two monitors, and I do listen to myself. That's coming through, just to make sure that the audio's there. I haven't really got a lot to add. I did the update to the ports down, and I've forgotten that it can take a reasonable length of time. And I must admit, I think I got to the 4A or whatever it is, and started to panic there, Dave. I was thinking, no, how I've got to remember how to do a new card, etc. But all went through and updated a treat, and your audio's been fine, Dave. No problems with me at all. Did have problems with G4HIZ. His audio was pulsing with me, but everyone else's, I think, has been okay. Oh, Sean was also pulsing, but the rest have been absolutely fine. I haven't done a lot. I did take the car for an MOT, which is the only outing I've done, even though it didn't need to go. Could have had the 6 months grace, but it did fail on a bush. But the guy who tested it said that he thought it was the brake fluid that was leaking, because there was this sort of clunking noise and that. Till he found this mouse that I decapitated on the way down there. Not a nice story, but it's the only one I've got. On that note, I'll pass it round to G7 JTT, and I've had no troubles with OpenReach. They're fine here, but sorry you're having troubles. It's not fair. I'm going to regret saying that now. Anyway, round to you there, John. Let's stick up a test card and watch it all go.
Right, hopefully I'll get that before the sound starts to howl round. Apologies if it doesn't. Right, this may crash at any point. My laptop has done its usual thing and refusing to do anything now. It's just going round and round and round in a loop, so hopefully things are working. I forgot to send the last over. As some of you are aware now, I do a different role within the place that I work, and what that involves me doing is going around all over the place and collecting various things and bits and pieces. Anyway, one of the advantages of this job is I get to go to some fantastic places. I have been to and I mean multi-million-pound houses. I've been to some very low quality houses as well, but one of the things that has been a real useful thing is I have found some really nice spots that they may not be great in all directions, but they certainly are good in certain directions. One of which, for you super high frequency guys, has a fantastic view of the island and down to Portland and probably into the northern parts of France as well. It's got a nice big lay-by. It's on a very quiet road. It's pretty good. There's some other ones within the forest, but the problem with the forest is you've got to be careful because they get a bit gnarly with you if you start putting loads of variables up. We used to do it when I used to be part of the Waterside group, and we had to seek permission every year and provide insurance and all that kind of rubbish. But yeah, there's definitely some nice things. The only problem I've got is for various reasons. I don't use my phone whilst I'm at work, and although I know where these places are, I've not been able to tag them to add them to any list or anything. So what I'll probably do is go out for a drive one weekend with the missus or something, and just take my phone and get the GPS coordinates and stuff for these places. But yeah, there's been some very, very nice radio spots, shall we say, and quite easy to get to as well, actually. And well, at the moment they would be. Under normal circumstances, this time of year it'd be full up with grockles, but at the moment the only issue we seem to have around the forest is blooming cyclists. They're worse than the sheep, cows, goats, pigs and everything else that's roaming around at the moment. But yes, when I work on Sundays, I reckon I meet more cyclists than I do cars, and I'm not a massive fan of them, I'm afraid. But anyway, there we go. With that, I shall pass it round to Noel, G8GTZ, G7JTT in the group. Oh, and I better put a test card up. Oh, no, I won't. I'll break it. Right, I'll wait till I see my hand go over and I'll dekey.
Yeah, GTZ. Okay. So everybody. Question basically. The adapter. What is the hardware that you use? Use the RDL. Another question I've got. Why do I always appear to in 4x3? And it is really yes, I know it's not okay. I've got one somewhere. Yeah, the content with confusion. I fell in the trap. There is actually a BATC low band contest running at the same time as the big contest. So I really don't think I'm going to drag out something that was just too big. And so I think I'll probably have to pass on that one. And the other one depends on the FM. Okay. Okay, I'll look at that. The other thing is there's been a Windows update for those of you who are going to get portable. You have to make sure the laptop is running before you go. If you either end up downloading it over my data or then crashing your contest. And the other question for Dave is, can you save the config on the menu 3, save the USB? Should it save the all the presets and contest? Because I was thinking of the USB stick for Saturday and the USB stick for Sunday. Okay. Right, there we go. That's it from me. What to do again, like you didn't want it with me around, but you might be able to give them a pizza certainly on Sunday when I'm all free. Dave already is going Dave already is getting all free on Saturday. I think he'll have some send them up. You won't be his iPads. Yeah, it's a big going to do that on February 7, 46, 47. The rate of processing import down. Right, okay, I'll probably talk to you on 2 meters already. Right, I'll do, I think it was Rob, wasn't it? Yeah. And I don't go to kill you, because you were very stitched it up for several years. Anyway, over to you, Rob, G8GZ.
it's working flawlessly tonight. This is good. Do not touch anything. Right, something else that I've been working on that I didn't mention earlier. I've been rebuilding this. Quite a lot of you will be familiar with the Nokia Dolphin PAs that we've been using for 10 years or more, something like that. I was always a little bit frustrated with it because it was a bulky thing with cables sticking out the sides here, there and everywhere and stuff, and it's just been like that all the time. And I don't use it very much because it's awkward to use, so I pretty much stripped everything down, took the bandsaw to the PCB, chopped it up. So on the left hand side on the heatsink there, that is what remains of the Nokia PA. It is the original heatsink off the PA, but that's what we've ended up with. I've got one changeover relay just for swapping between transmit and receive. Little sequencer board inside. Unfortunately, I didn't take another picture before I put the lid on. So there's a little one of the PCB, like the helical filters out of the Nokia PAs in line between the TX input, the SMA on the left, and the input of the PA, and a bit of attenuation as well because it takes quite a low level drive. It's like minus 20 dBm in for 10 watts out, so it's now about minus 6 or something. So yeah, I use a little OLED screen on the front there with a lookup table to give the power reading for versus the voltage coming out of the detector. That seems to work quite nicely, so I will certainly be more available for 77's tests when I'm portable now. It doesn't match up with all the other gear in the van because everything else is black fronted and that's white, but yeah. Anyway, so I did that. What else was I going to show? Let's think. There's a few other things to comment on, I think, as well. That's the combination of the 3.4 gigs low pass filter and the 2.4 gigs high pass filter on the PCBs. So that was a simulation, and at 3.4 gigs, which is at the top there, it was 2.1 dB of loss. So if it comes out like that, that'll be okay. And at 6 gigs, you've got 30, 3.4, 6.8 gigs. You've got nearly 40 dB of rejection. Well, no, not 40 as such. Not quite. Got 32, 33. So it'll take the harmonics down quite a bit. So yes, just work in progress. I'll maybe do a little bit more of this next week. So that was that. The rat case was it was offered at eBay. It's antenna something company. There was a guy selling loads of them, and I wish I'd bought a load more when I bought them because that was the last one that he had. I wish I'd bought a load of them at the time because he had about 20 listed, and I bought one. So, I think I left them. Aerial facilities, that's it, no. Spot on. Yeah, aerial facilities. They usually got, that one had a 1.6 gig diplexer in it. About 1.6 gigs. I've never tried tuning it to get it onto 23 sems or anything, but it is sat there. Really nice bit of kit. It comes with loads of N2 SMA adapters as well, like chassis mounted N2, not N2 SMA, N2 .141 hardline. So it was quite good. Yeah, but I'm not actually using any of them. But yeah, they were like a folded case. The only thing I was missing was the top. It was the last one that was left. And I didn't get the top cover, so I managed to dig out another bit of vac mount kit and make a top cover for it, because the airflow comes in the back panel, loops around, and then goes through the heatsink, and then there's a cutout at the back where the heatsink is, and that's where the RF comes. The RF? Oh, hopefully not. the hot air. I need a bigger fan. It runs fairly warm, but I had it on for nearly an hour on about 30 watts and it was fine, but it gets a little bit warmer than it could do. Chuck, yeah. So there's the chuck that I've managed to get restored back to normality. It's quite a bit smaller than the previous 3-jaw that was on the lathe, as you can see in the pictures. I'll probably be out of sync when I'm talking here as to what it is, but the back plate, I had to machine another register in it to line the new chuck up on. So that's why there's actually 2 registers in the new plate, and then re-drill some more holes to attach it on. So I've actually got that fitted onto the lathe now, so we can now do peculiar shaped things, offset centers and things like that. So that should be fun. Not done that yet. So yeah, the chuck took a lot of de-rusting. It was just totally covered in rust on the other side. I didn't take a picture, unfortunately. So there we go. So yeah, look forward to working quite a few of you on, well, not working here, but talking to you on 2 meters probably over the weekend. Saturday I'm at a more local site. Sunday I'm planning to go to Sutton Bank, which is a pretty good spot. Due south, absolutely brilliant, but probably the best one on the moors, I would think. It's not as high, but like the land just totally rolls off in front of you, so hopefully that'll be good to you guys down south. Not so good for the locals. So points wise, I think it's going south this time, unless it works out better than I think. But yeah, looking forward to it. The only thing we have got is here's the forecast for up here. Where are we at? Not there. Too many places on my list. Gone. Is it going to upload? Update? It's not going to update now. That's annoying. Let's see if I can get this update. Nope. It's typical that when you want something to work, it doesn't. No, it doesn't want to work at all. I'm not getting any mobile signal. I've turned the Wi-Fi on. Is it going to work? I don't think so. Anyway, it's forecast thunderstorms pretty much all day Saturday, so it's going to get a bit interesting. So plans may be scuppered a little bit. No, I'm not getting any mobile data either. No, the Wi-Fi's on, but it still isn't updating. So yeah, it's obviously getting a bit of 2.4 into it, as well as that. So anything else? I don't think I have anything. So that's it for me tonight. Was there anything else? VNA at 4 gigs, Mike. That's interesting. I spied that on your Twitter. I thought it only went to 3, but I'll have to get one ordered now. I haven't used the other one so much because everything I've done has been above 1 gig, so it looks quite handy, that. But you always need more, don't you? So Windows Update has already been done on my laptop. It's already done it, so we're all sorted for that. I did pick up another dish, fiberglass one here, so this is going to be a permanent fixture on the van eventually. It's 1 meter, right, 1.1/90 centimeters, so it's in between. I mean, it looks reasonable quality. Whether it actually is for the higher bands, don't know, but seems to be in good condition anyway, so wants to make. So yeah, there we go. So that's it for me this week, I think. I don't think I've got anything else. And there's Clive on 750, so I'll go and talk to him. 7-3 to all. 0 DTS. And possibly round to day for the final. Good night all, and see you next week. Maybe not. Right, M0 DTS.
I just realised how noisy all those fans are. I can turn one of them off. I just had it running while I had the transmitter running for a long time. Oh, shut up. Right. Well, thanks. Very interesting net tonight. Quite envious of your mounting the dolphin in the rack. I'll show you mine, Rob. Now the monster on the floor. And what I've done with it a couple of years ago, you recall there's some RF stuff in there, and that's where all the power modules are that bring the voltage up. Instead of an OLED meter, I've got a real meter, and then it takes about 12 volts at 20 odd amps there, and does the business. About 50 watts out on 70 on the testing I was doing earlier this week. And yeah, just sort of everything all over the floor, ready to go in the car. Bit of a mess, but we'll get there. Okay, panning back around. Sorry about that. The camera fell over, and I think the HDMI got knocked out. So with that, the only technical disaster of the evening, I'm sorry about that. We'll finish things off for tonight. Thanks very much all for coming up, and hopefully see many of you in the contest over the weekend. G8GKQ closing the BATC net, and now free for all. G8GKQ.